Locho sampo pa gyo trashi pa tuche tempe tinle yarngoda pege drolor zampe ze parche palde lame shabla solvade Omo a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo Nishasan Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tudan Dagi Tenyerme Chiktu Jingilo Makyuke Kudan Dagilo Makyuke Sundan Dagi Makyuke Tudan Dagi Tenyerme Chiktu Jingilo Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchara Sangye Druparash. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge in enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Very often in our spiritual path, whenever we start a practice, whenever we go to a path, inevitably we bring with us our own background. We bring with us our culture, the education we received, the habits we have, and so on and so on. So based on that, what happens is that we are influenced by it, constantly. And there is one aspect that I see quite often in our Western world. And that's the idea somehow that it's enough to understand. That once we understand something, that's going to be enough. If it was like this, life would be much simpler. How many things are there that we do understand them quite clear, but this doesn't mean that we are able to put it into practice? So many. No? For example, do we know that we shouldn't get angry? Is it enough? No. It's not enough to know. Then the same way for so many other things. There are many things that we know, we understand, but not because I understand that necessarily I would really put it into practice, I would realize it. So, what happens is that to understand things is important. There's the whole process of listening, of comprehending, of understanding, and it is a very important process, but it's not enough. It's the first step. Once we have understood something, we need to meditate upon it. We need to familiarize ourselves with it. Because our mind, in the moment that we are in front of a situation that we will somehow react upon it, it's not going to be based on our understanding, but it's going to be based on our own experiences. You know, if we are in front of a certain situation, the way how we react to that situation is not based on what we understand and we know, but it's based on the experiences we have had. So, we could say that our experiences are actually more important than our own knowledge. Okay? That's why we have meditation, that in Tibetan is said gom. Gom literally means to familiarize, to get used to something. So that's why we need to make our understanding become an experience. The more I have an experience, the easier it will become to repeat it again and again. As Shantideva said in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, there is nothing that is not easy once you get used to it. Everything. Even like, say, eating something that in the beginning I don't like the taste. If I need to eat it again and again and again and again, after some time, I get used to it. Maybe I don't need to like it really, but it's okay. It's not going to be that awful as it was before. Or if we look, for example, in a big city like São Paulo, where I just came back from, it has an incredible pollution, especially also from the, how do you call it in English? Sound pollution or, no? Very strong sound pollution, noise pollution. So everywhere you go, there is always some noise around. And for example, even at my father's house, there's a very silent place in the same city, a very nice area of the city, and so on. But in the night, at any moment, okay, during the day you have constantly airplanes going up through his house. So you then have, and a few minutes again, and then again another airplane going. Then during the night time, you have constantly the sound of cars. All the time. If you go to other places, the Dharma Center where we have, it's a nice area of the city, but still, at any moment, you have the sound of buses going by, and cars, and the neighbors, and this and that. It's full of noise all the time. But what happened? People simply get used to it. After some time, you don't care. You even don't really listen to it anymore much, you know. It's just there. I remember one day I was sleeping in the Dharma Center, and I had very good night of sleep. And I woke up, oh, what a nice night of sleep and so on. It was really nice. I was very relaxed. And then I listened the buses going by, you know, very noisy. And at the same time, but it was not disturbing me at all. It was okay. I was relaxed, you know. And then you look and you see how much you get used to it. And after some time, it's like even not listening to it anymore. No? So, the point is that everything, when we repeat it again and again and again and again, after some time, we repeat the same experience many times, we get used to it. The same thing is for almost anything. Okay? So, for the positive aspects, it's also the same. If we repeat the same positive experience again and again, it gets easier and easier and easier. Okay? So that's one of the principles of meditation, is for us to generate a positive attitude, positive experience. And once we generate this positive experience, we need to repeat it again and again so that it becomes easier and easier. So it's not enough to meditate once or twice. We need to do it hundreds and hundreds of times. Then slowly, slowly it will enter into our mind stream. And then in the moment that we may less expect it, it comes spontaneously. Okay? So, based on that, really, when we talk about the Guru Puja as a meditation practice as it is, it's not just a prayer. Many of us may see the Guru Puja just as a sort of a prayer. But actually, it is a meditation practice very clearly, with a very clear steps and so on for us to meditate on. It's a meditation with recitation, but has a very clear step. But first of all, it is this moment in which we bring our mind, we concentrate it in something that is internal, and not through external distraction. If we look in our own culture, in our own way of life, most of the time we are distracted by some sort of external attraction. Something that we're looking at, something that we're listening to, something we're touching or tasting. We're always connected through our external five senses, all the time. We get at home, we may need to turn on the TV. We wake up in the morning, we get the phone to see if someone wrote something to us. We look at the news, we do this. And if we look, most of the time, I think, people look at the news not because we really want to know what is happening, because we need something to be distracted on, something that attracts our mind somehow externally. And if we look, this is happening constantly in many, many ways. So one of the benefits of meditation, and it doesn't need to be the meditation of Guru Puja, any meditation, and it's not the objective, it's one of the positive side effects of it, is for us to bring our attention back to the present moment and to generate some stability within ourselves, to make ourselves less dependent on the external conditions constantly. Okay? And this is actually something very positive for us, and something that we really need very much, really to bring ourselves to the present moment, really to bring ourselves just to be with us. Otherwise, what happens is that in the moment that we get in our life that we have no distraction, nowhere to look, nothing to listen for, no one to talk to, nothing to touch, we're just with ourselves, then we ask, what do I do now? I am by myself. And now what? Oh, now relax. Meditate. But we have difficulty with that. So instead, for us to get used to it, for us to generate this state of relaxation also within ourselves, that's something very, very positive. And meditation will help us to do that. It's one of the benefits of the practice, okay? And the Guru Puja, that is a recitation and meditation together, will also help us in the same way. So, in this sense, it's something that we need to have this awareness as we do the Guru Puja, not just as a simple recitation, but as a moment in which we gather our attention to the present moment, and we simply let go all this distraction that we have towards our external senses. Okay? This is one level of the Guru Puja, one benefit that is there as we do our meditation. Okay. So, as we follow with the meditation, there are many, many different ways of meditation. In the Guru Puja, as I said before, the meditation is basically based on accumulation of merit, purification of our own negativities, familiarizing ourselves with the gradual path to enlightenment, and establishing and strengthening the link that we have with our own Guru, with Guru Buddha. Okay? So, as we go through that, actually, in our own spiritual path, it's very important for us to accumulate merit. Even though it's a word that we use in English, and it doesn't mean that much for most of us. And even remember Professor Lokesh Chandra, he was once explaining in Borobudur for us the difficulty of not having the right word, translation word for merit, because we don't have in the culture. It's like, for example, karma. What word we use in English? Karma. Even the actual translation would be action. It doesn't mean the same. So finally, we use the word karma from Sanskrit. Okay, but merit, we don't use the word punya. We use the word merit, but which doesn't mean exactly what normally we understand by merit. So 1 month ago, when we were giving here teachings about the practice of purification, I was explaining a little bit more what it means about merit and so on, but trying to make it short again. The point is that we are not able to experience anything without having created a cause for it, positive or negative. We cannot experience any negative sensation of suffering or anything like that if we have not created a cause for it. In the same way, we cannot experience anything positive if we have not created the causes for it. So merits means creating the positive causes, generating the positive actions, so that later we can have the positive results. That's what we call by merit. If we would make a metaphor more mundane to help us to understand, it's like, if I want to buy anything, can I buy it as long as I have the money and someone is selling it? Yeah. But for me to be able to buy anything, I need these two conditions. I need to have the money, and it must be for sale. Otherwise, I cannot buy it. So to have the money, it means to have the merits, to have accumulated the causes. Someone to be selling it is like having the conditions that must need to be there. So once I accumulate the causes, there must be the conditions, which is the situations that I have around me, the interaction that I have with other people. Sometimes there are the conditions, but I have not created the causes, so I cannot have the result, or vice versa. Okay? So if we develop a great state of love, for example, in the moment we feel love, what's the sensation we have? Pleasure or unpleasure? We feel pleasure. So love brings us the sensation of pleasure, of well-being. But in order to have the sensation of well-being, I must have accumulated merits. So to sustain the emotion of love, we need merits. To sustain love, generosity, compassion, stability, wisdom, we need merits. It's not just understanding that, I need to love all sentient beings. That's not enough. We need merits. In that, even, the first step on the path to enlightenment is called the path of accumulation. In order really to enter deeply the spiritual path, we must have merits to sustain it. So, there are different ways of accumulating merits. The most well-known, the most common way of accumulating merits is by giving. Is to share what we have, is to give something to others. And as we give to others, we can give materially, we can give love, we can give protection, we can give the Dharma. But from all the ways that we can give, when we give to someone that is spiritually on the same level as us or inferior, it's called an act of generosity. When we give something to someone that is spiritually more developed than us, this is called an offering that we do. So one of the goals within the Guru Puja is actually to make offerings to the holy beings and to sentient beings as a way for us to accumulate merit. And the act of giving is not just something physical, it's mostly mental. If we are used to give mentally, if we need to give something physically, it becomes very easy. If we are not used to give anything mentally, in the moment I need to share something physically, it's going to be impossible. It's very difficult. So, it's an inner attitude, most of all, the fact of giving. So, this is one of the aspects important of the Guru Puja, but as we will go on through it, we will get into the part of actually accumulating merit and understanding better why and so on, okay? But before that, I like first to go through the preliminaries of the Guru Puja, something that normally very often when we do the practice, we are not really concentrating so much in the preliminaries. Mostly because a matter of time also, No, we don't have all the time, like 3 hours to do the Guru Puja slowly and so on. So very often we just we stick the recitation part and we don't do the whole preliminaries with actually so much calm. But as we have time here to explain the Guru Puja, I'm not going to hurry up and we are going to go through the actual preliminaries. Okay? In order to practice correctly, there are some parts of preparations that we need to go through. Okay? And this is the common preparations for any meditation practice that we may do. The first step that is necessary is to prepare the place of meditation. As we talk about preparing the place of meditation, we could go on and on and on very extensively here. I'm not going to go into too many details, but the first thing that we need to do is to choose a place. Okay? If we are at our own home, we can have a little room, or we can have a little angle, a little place where we do our practice, which is good also. And but like nowadays, when we look to people's houses, it can be very rich houses, like with many rooms. Very often there will be the room of television, the room of eating lunch, the room for dinner, the kitchen, the room for this, the room for children to play, the room for that, blah, 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 blah. But there is no room for meditation. Why? Because there is no the habit of meditation. There's not the room for prayer and meditation. No? Like now I see many people, like these big, rich houses, there is the room for doing physical exercise, like the academy, and there are so many things, but mind, prayer is missing, no? So, instead, it's very important for us really to, in our house, if we have the physical space, we create the space for our meditation. Like, I was very happy because I saw two friends this last time, now in Brazil. One, in his house, he doesn't have such a big house, but he was able to get in a part of the house, and he painted one wall, and he put the altar with a little tatami in the front, with a cushion, and he created this angle. It's in the middle of a sort of a corridor, but which is not exactly a corridor, it's a little bit bigger, but it's quite nicely protected, a place for meditation. So he created that area. Another friend, he had in the house that he built his own house. So when he made a plan of the house, he projected on his own project, he put one room where to put all the, how do you call it in English, all the trophies of, he makes competitions. So he gets many trophies from his competitions. So when he would wanted to put all the trophies, so when his friends come, he would show, look at my trophies, and so on. But then after he said that when he started practicing Dharma, he understood that, oh, this is stupid. So finally, he has somewhere on the, on a very small dark room somewhere, he just throw all the trophies in the floor. They're just all there like this. And then he changed this room into his meditation room. So he painted on the wall Buddha, the protector, his guru, and then he put the offerings in the front and so on. So really making a place for practice. No? So this is already some changes that we see slowly happening. But for every one of us, if we can have at our own house one little place, it can be where we put our altar. In the altar, we need to have the representation of body, speech, and mind, which means the image of the Buddha or our guru or a holy image. Then we have a holy text. It can be the book of Lamrim or self-healing or any holy text of the Dharma. And then we have a statue, a stupa, or a vajra and a bell representing the enlightened mind. Okay? So, on that, if we don't have a room where to make the altar and to do, even if it's in our sleeping room or in the living room, wherever we feel more comfortable, we just create a little space, a little angle. If we don't have even that little space, at least we should have a cushion or a piece of cloth that we only sit on it when we do our practice. We don't use it for any other reason. It's sacred. So whenever I sit there, I know that what I'm going to do is not only for this life. I'm going to transcend this life in the moment that I sit there. If I have a little room, I know that when I enter there, I'm going to practice Dharma seriously. It's not only, it's going to do something that transcends this life. The same thing is for the cushion or for the little cloth that we may have. Some of us, we may like beautiful cloths like brocades, whatever we buy a little nice piece of brocade, whatever, we sit in it, that's a sacred moment. When we finish, we fold it, we keep it. When we do the practice again, we put it again for us to sit. It's something like creating the atmosphere, creating the place for us to practice. Because it's true that the practice is something totally internal, but still, the external conditions brings a big influence to us also. The place where we are, for example, when we come to the Gompa, we are influenced by it. It's a holy place. When we come from the door, we cannot keep the same attitude as we are having outside. This I see in everyone, Like even people that have no any idea about Buddhism or Dharma, when they come in, you see a change of attitude. So we must have that in our place of practice. So we clean it in the beginning as a way of respect. And then we prepare, we choose a nice cushion that is not too low or too high. We choose a nice place where we sit also. The cushion in which we are seated on the floor, like the main cushion is not too soft or too hard. We find something in which we are comfortable. But it's very important to prepare this space where we are going to do our practice. Okay? If we are to do a long time retreat or something like that, which is not the case of most of us, but in that case, the best place to practice is normally in a place where we are in nature. If we look the history of all great masters that they had realizations, it was always in nature. Buddha Shakyamuni reached enlightenment under a tree in a forest, under the Bodhi tree in a forest. Milarepa went to meditate on the caves. Lama Tsongkhapa was meditating on the caves, Each one was there. And like in all the histories, where did all the great practitioners go for meditation? Or in the mountains, or in the forests, or in the desert, and in some traditions in the beach, nearby the sea. Not with many people, in the various solitary beaches. So, like in Indonesia, when Buddhism was present there are texts of practitioners that were meditating on the beach. Okay? They used to do like some sort of huts on the beach and meditate there. But it's on the nature. And I remembered when I went to the Amazon forest in Brazil, and we stayed for almost a week there. And we were on a boat going through the forest and every day we were doing meditation in the morning and during the day and teachings and so on. The day was very full with practice like retreat. But we were on the boat going through the forest, in the river. And we were in a very beautiful place in every sense. We were already blessed from the very beginning that cell phone was not working there. But there was a special energy around from the nature itself, and we could feel it. And slowly, as the days passed, we could see in ourselves and in the other people around us also the joy that people were having. People were simply happy. Were there difficulties? Yes. Physically? Yes. Even we Westerners coming from the big cities, we used to sleep in our own room with our own toilet. There everybody was sleeping on hammocks. But each hammock was hanged one by the side of the other. So if someone was moving a little bit at the night, was hitting the other one, and the other one was hitting the other one, And there was like 2 toilets for 60 people. And you could only use the toilet at certain times of the day. It was not easy from that point of view. But still, everybody was simply happy. It was like deep state of joy. And it remained after some time. Remember, when I came back, a few days later, I was here in Italy. And many people looked at me and said, wow, you are really good. There is really something different. So, to be in nature with the right attitude makes a big difference. It's a very good place where to practice nature, generally speaking. So, here in Albagnano, we are already fortunate from that. We don't have so much pollution in many ways. Because there are many levels of pollution, not only the pollution of the air and water, but also the electromagnetic field pollution, the noise pollution, the light pollution. There are many levels of pollution also, okay? And also there is the pollution made out of people's energy. If we are in a place where everybody is nervous and is unsatisfied and so on, we feel it. Okay, if we go to a place with many people to meditate, but all the people there, most of the people are concentrated on their practice and so on, it's very positive. We get a positive influence out of it. Okay? But that's why we need we need to create our own space for meditation. We need to try to create the right environment for us. Okay? It doesn't need to be perfect, but still we need to put some effort in it. And one of the things to have the right environment is also, for example, turn off your phone. It seems quite obvious, but sometimes I see it's not. When we go, it's not a matter only of the noise. It's that I go to meditate and I put the phone there in front of me. Then I'm meditating, eyes slightly closed, looking downwards. Then suddenly I see a little light coming from the phone. I don't listen anything. Then I open my eyes a little bit. I look at it, and I see a little thing there saying, someone liked my photo. And where is my mind? In Facebook, or wherever, in Instagram, I don't know. Wherever, okay? So, where do we want our mind to be? In our practice. We don't want to be anywhere else. So please, when we go to meditate, if we can, it's better, because what happens is that we are always connected. We don't need to be afraid, because we are always connected to everything and disconnected from ourselves. In this moment, we need simply to start disconnecting from the world around us so that we get connected to ourselves. Half an hour, 1 hour. Don't worry, after that time of meditation, you can go back to Facebook and look at everything that is happening. Okay? Which is actually nothing, but still. Okay? It's like really have the space. So even when we come to the Gompa here, sure, we need to turn off our phone. This is like obvious, okay? I don't even need to say it, that the phone should be turned off. Not to disturb other people and so on. But no, not only that. Even putting it in the silence mode, not enough. We need to turn it off completely. Why? Because then our mind is not there. Maybe I need to get some message or something is happening here. Our mind is always distracted by something. So we need at this moment just relax about it. Space. Then we come back to ourselves. We concentrate in our practice. We are able to relax in the present moment. That's so beautiful. Okay? So prepare the place for meditation. And when we come here to the center, if we like helping a little bit to clean before the practice or after, all of this is part of taking care. Because a way of respecting the practice that we do, respecting the actual place. Okay? Once we have prepared our place of meditation, now we need to conclude the rest of the preparation for the practice, which is to prepare our body and our mind. There is a very strong connection between body and mind. So, basically, we need to put our body in a position to help us not to be distracted and not to fall asleep. In other words, we call Jinga Selwa, which means not to have mental dullness, which is have this sleepy mind, and even if the mind is not really sleepy, but at the same time it's not really clear also. And also it's like a foggy mind. No? And we also need to avoid also having an agitated mind. I'm sitting there, but the mind is going everywhere. I can be there very nicely, seated in my meditation, but my mind is going in the 10 directions, into all the objects, and it's like a television changing channel all the time, We don't need that. So, in order for that, first thing that we do once we prepare our place of meditation is we need to sit in the right way. Okay? So, the way of sitting in the Tibetan tradition is we sit with the cross-legged. The most important thing is to have our back straight. Okay? So, in the beginning of the explanation, normally it says, sit in a comfortable position. So, if for us it's too difficult to sit cross-legged, no problem to sit in a chair. But it's very important to have our back straight. If we try to meditate like this, we are going to fall asleep. That's inevitable. Or even if we're listening to someone and we are there, like this, After some time, we're falling asleep. Okay? This is normal. So if we don't want to fall asleep, if we don't want to have our mind like in the middle of a fog, what we do? Sit in the right position. Have your back straight but not tense. If we put our back tense, like with the chest like upwards, what happens? It creates mental agitation. Instead, we need to have our back straight but not tense, just as if we had a string pulling up from the top of our head, lightly and gently. Then with that, what we do, we have the 7 positions or 8 positions of Vairochana. We start with the 7 positions of the body. And then we have the crossed legs. We call the Vajra position. And in the Vajra position, basically, what we have is that we sit in the complete Vajra position. That helps very much to have the back straight, through which we put the 2 feet on top of our thighs. Okay? So if we sit in this position, it will help a lot us to have the back in the right position. Naturally and spontaneously, our back gets straight, like this. But as I said before, we must sit in a comfortable position. So if this is not comfortable for most of us, no problem. Just sit or half lotus or half Vajra position, which means with 1 foot above and the other one below, okay, like this, or even with both of them below. The position I most like is the one of half Vajra position, with 1 foot above and 1 below, especially if we need to sit for a long time. If I need to be like 15 minutes meditation, no problem with the full Vajra. Longer than half an hour, then it starts to be painful and here and there. And then if I am meditating and then my knee is very painful, where does my mind go? To the knee. And I don't want my mind to be at the knee. I want my mind to be at my meditation object. I want my mind to go to my knee. So after that, the next step is that we have the legs, then we have 1, the legs, 2, the back, 3, the shoulders. The shoulders shouldn't be tensed forward or too much open backward. We should have the shoulders nicely relaxed in a natural position. Then we have our back. Our back shouldn't be, then we have our hands. The hands in the Tibetan tradition, we have the right hand above the left hand, with the thumbs touching at the height of our navel. Okay? So, the arms are not touching the body, but they are open, creating like a triangle at each side. Like in the Thai tradition, normally they do the same position, but with the thumbs not touching each other, just resting on the hand. And in the Tibetan tradition, it's said that when we touch the thumbs, it generates like a cycle of energy in our body that generates heat, inner heat. So I think in Thailand they don't need inner heat because it's quite warm. And in Tibet they need a lot of inner heat because it's quite cold. So maybe there is some connection with that, but the point is that in our tradition we put with the thumbs touching each other. Then we have the head that is slightly forwards, like if the direction of our chin would be going to the center of our chest. Okay? Not too much upwards or too much downwards, slightly forward. The mouth is relaxed with the tongue touching the palate. Not too much backward, but just as we follow from our teeth, if we follow with the tongue from the teeth, there is a part where the palate goes first backwards, then frontwards again. That's where actually we rest the tongue slightly. Okay, this is useful because when we do a longer silent meditation, after some time, even the movement of swallowing the saliva is a very strong movement for our body. We feel it so much. So what happens is that, or we don't need, if we have the tongue in the right position, we don't need to swallow the saliva. Because otherwise what happens is that, or we need to swallow the saliva and it's not very nice because we are so concentrated, or we simply will let the saliva get out of our mouth and start falling, which I think is not really any big deal. We can wash ourselves later. And but it's not nice if we're meditating with other people and then we look at, and the saliva going down. It's okay, really. It means we are quite well concentrated. But The main point is that's why one of the other real reason why we put the tongue on the palate is that it relaxes the body. Okay, so we rest the tongue on the palate. Then we have our eyes slightly closed, looking downwards. So we don't need to put strength to close the eyes. Don't put strength on the upper part of the eyes, on the side of the eyes. Just slightly close the eyes and direct the direction of the eyes downwards. Not too strong, but slightly downward. So we have 1 leg, 2 back, 3 shoulder, 4 hands, 5 head, 6 mouth, 7 eyes. The 8th position is our own breath. It's the awareness of our breath. So what we will do is that we will inhale and exhale consciously. And we will try to breathe actually in a 4 steps, 4 cycle breathing, which means we inhale, we keep our breath, we exhale, we keep our breath. So we have these 4 steps of breathing. So we have inhale, keep, exhale, keep, inhale, keep, exhale, keep. Okay? We can do this with counting and so on, but in the beginning, as we just sit down in the right position, before really caring much about our breath, what we need to do is we just observe the breath how it is naturally. So we observe, where is my breath? Like listening to our own breath. Where is it coming from? Is it in the chest? Is it in the belly? Where is actually my breath really coming and going to? Okay? Is it, how to say, harmonious? Or is it like fast, slow, and so on? So we need to observe our own breath in the beginning. And after some time that we observe our breath, then we start to concentrate on it. And we direct our breath as we inhale. We bring the air below the navel. We keep it there for an instant. Then we exhale again, the whole air through our nostrils. We keep it again. Then we inhale again. And we always do an breathing where we bring the air below the navel. And as we do that, any other thought that may come to our mind, we simply let it go. We do not focus on any other thought. As it comes to our mind, we simply let it go. We do not get attached to any different thoughts. So any thought that comes to our mind, we try not to name it, not to grasp at it, not to give a reason why we have this thought, not to justify or explain anything. We simply let the thought go away. And we bring back our attention to the air that is going in and the air that is going out. By that, what we are creating is a state of concentration, a state of calm. Okay? As it says on the text of the Guru Puja, on verse number 2, from the state of an exalted, white, virtuous mind, which means this state of very white mind or very virtuous mind, very white virtuous mind. Rap means very, like exalted. It means basically that from a pure state of mind, I go for refuge. So first we need to generate such pure state of mind. And we do that by doing the breathing meditation, by bringing our mind to the present. And we can count our breath, like inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. And like this, every cycle of inhaling and exhaling, we count as 1. And we can count up to 7. If it's not enough, we count up to 14. If it's not enough, we go up to 21. So as we do that, we bring our mind back to the present moment and we relax our mind. So we get free from all strong disturbing emotions. Because what can be very common is that we sit down to meditate and our mind is where? Is in our object of attraction or the object of aversion. That's the most common thing to happen. Instead, we need to bring our mind free from our object of attraction and aversion. Like what we call a state of mind of equanimity, which means free from object of attraction or object of aversion. Okay? So as we sit down in that position, we simply concentrate on our breath. And actually, the more we do it, the easier it gets. So in the beginning, it's good if we dedicate some more time for it. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever time we need, we dedicate to concentrate on our breath and to really relax our mind in that state. Later, when we get more used to it, it may be even enough just to breathe in, breathe out, and we are already in the right state of mind. Okay? But it takes some time, it takes some practice. Okay? So by that, we have actually prepared our mind. That's are the preliminaries. Preparing the place of meditation, preparing the body, and preparing the mind. Our hands are at the height of the navel. First reason, because if we sit in the correct position of our legs, that's exactly the right height where we rest our hands on our foot, okay? Second, the navel is a part of our body very much connected with concentration. Like said to be also like the center of the body, 3 fingers below the navel actually. So what happens is that as we sit in this way, that's what I said before actually in Italian, if it's a bit difficult because we don't have the right leg posture to put our hands, very often it may happen that we are keeping a little bit high, so we create tension between our arms. And we don't need that. We need actually to be relaxed. So we can rest our hands on a piece of cloth or something like that, so that to help it to be on the right height. Okay. Actually, these positions, they are being transmitted by centuries, and that's how it's being transmitted. Now, exactly why the hand should be at this height, other than being the fact that it's the height, the navel having a very strong connection with our concentration and with our own inner heat and so on. There are many different reasons of concentration related to the navel. I think it's mostly because of that. Okay? So, we sit in the right position. So first we prepare the place, then we prepare our body, then we prepare the mind. And based on that, then we can actually start to generate the right motivation, recite the prayer, and do the visualization. Okay? So this is, let's say for today, which we do the preliminaries for the Guru Puja. So first we need to understand what is the Guru, what's the meaning of Guru Puja, the connection that we have with our own path, and the importance to establish and strengthen this connection. And because of that, we also do the Guru Puja. It's the practice that has based mostly the part of accumulating merit, purifying the negativities, familiarizing our mind with the path to enlightenment, and strengthening the connection with our Guru and the path to enlightenment. So, tomorrow we will go through like the actual steps of the practice, like dividing the Guru Puja into different parts. So we can understand what is the structure of the Guru Puja. And then we'll take the first part of the structure and understand it step by step. What's the meaning of it? What are we actually meditating on it? And so on. Okay? So, we will just do the dedication for now. And then we do a very short break and we start again with the Tsok offering of the Guru Puja. And actually the Tsok offering, it has many different meanings, but one of them is that as we invite all the holy beings and the sentient beings, we make offerings to them. As we were saying before, that in our path we need to accumulate merits. And one of the ways of accumulate merits is giving. So in the moment that we open our heart to others, and in the Tsok, during the Tsok offering, there's this prayer that we recite many times, but the actual meaning of it is that we open our heart towards all holy beings and we may offer everything we have to them, our merits, our joy, our material things we have, our body, we multiply it in all different forms and we offer it to all holy beings. And then also, we do the same also as we offer to the all sentient beings at the same time also. Okay? So it's a very strong way of accumulating merits also. That's why also the name Tsok means accumulation. Okay? It means also gathering. It means the gathering of holy beings and sentient beings, but it also means the gathering of merits, the accumulation of merits of positive energy. Okay? So we make a short break and then we do the Tsok offering and the conclusion of Guru Puja. Jetsun lame kutse raptenchi namkar tinle chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove munsel tatu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin nitsen taktu delekpe Concho sumge jinge lo, concho sumge ngodrup sol, concho sumge trasciscio. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possano i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni, possano aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio.